Hi, it's me again, and today I'm going to be reviewing the two films that I have seen from the Three Couleurs Trilogy, which I've really enjoyed so far.
Oh, the nerd fighters!
So basically, the really cool thing I love about the Three Couleurs Trilogy is that it's basically to do with the French flag. So as you can see, you've got there's the blue one, the white one, and the red one. And that's how their title is. It's Trois Couleurs, and then bleu, blanc, and rouge. And at the moment, I'm sort of working my way through rouge. But for some reason, the thing you should know is these are all French. I wouldn't say they're all French films. But basically the last one, for some reason, I got this on the internet, and for some reason the last one doesn't have subtitles, and although I've studied French, I don't think my French is like brilliant, so it's sort of going to take a bit more time for me to make sure that I've actually understood the stories properly. But basically I have really enjoyed the two of these that I've seen so far, just because I feel like they're quite raw stories, but they're basically all directed by the same person, and I'll put their name up there because I think I'd probably butcher it if I tried to actually say it. But the thing I've really enjoyed about these movies is the fact that they feel the way that they're composed is quite deliberate, but they're also very good at being vulnerable, and I think the thing I've really enjoyed about this series is the fact that it's deliberate in the sense that it basically portrays the feelings it wants to in the simplest way possible. So they're very vulnerable feelings, but they don't necessarily complicate them that much. So in a sense they're relatively easy stories to follow, but at the same time they have their intricacies. But I mentioned this in a video that I did on my channel about why I love films, and I've really found that, especially with the first film, which is Bleu, it's the kind of film where, even though you don't know all the details, it's the kind of film that finishes so well that you don't really feel like you need to add any more. You don't need to add anything else to it. It's just beautiful as it is, and I really like the fact that they sort of come to defined but not completely defined conclusions. So the sort of conclusions that you're happy with, but you also know that the things that you don't understand, but you don't really feel like you need to. The thing I also love about these films is that it feels like I could re-watch them like really soon, and often with films I really don't feel that way because I feel like I already know too much about, as in, like, you know, I already know what's going to happen, and therefore watching them again won't make me feel any better as such. Like, I won't enjoy it the second time around because I already know what's going to happen. But with these films, because they're so carefully put together, orchestrated, especially with the soundtrack, I think it's really wonderful to be able to watch it again because you can appreciate the details and you know, the way it's filmed compared to not just the story, and I just found that really special. Another thing I think I really enjoyed is the fact that obviously the first film is French and it's based in France, but the second film is based in Poland, and I just find it really interesting to see different aspects of culture, especially through language. And I think I really enjoyed sort of watching the first film with the subtitles, but also being able to actually sort of understand the actual phrasing that they were using compared to just the translation, because obviously the translation tends to use phrases that you know, sort of are equivalent in English but aren't necessarily the exact wording. I was not expecting that. But yeah, I think that's the thing I've really enjoyed, is the fact that you can learn so much about the culture and about the characters through like the language that they use and how they interact with other people, and I think that's something I just love about film in general. But I think the really cool thing I've loved so far about the trilogy is the fact that even though they're a trilogy, the stories are pretty different, but they also have some common themes, in the sense that everyone loses something that they then have to come back from, and I think that's really interesting because it often starts off with the loss, and then you see the characters progress and see how they you know, how they decide to move on, and obviously it's just really interesting in general just to see how people cope with change. So in the first film, the main character loses her husband and her daughter, and her husband was a famous composer, so it's really interesting because he was basically working on a piece, and then she basically has to decide what she's going to do with it, and it's just really interesting because it's interesting to see how people's perspectives change with time, who change their perspectives, and yeah. The second film is about how a man gets divorced by his wife and how he comes back from that. And yeah, it's just really interesting to see how coincidences can bring people to a place that they never would have expected. So yeah, I have so far really enjoyed this. It was recommended to me by Scozio. If you don't know Scozio, I will leave a link in the description because you should really check him out. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching the last one, seeing what I think of it, because I really enjoyed the series so far, but hopefully working through it without the subtitles. I think I understand the gist of it, but understanding the details is probably a bit more different. Thank you so much for watching, and I don't think there's anyone tomorrow, but no, we'll see you on Tuesday. Bye guys.